HVAC franchise owner with the Blue Book Building and Construction Network. And I'm sitting down here today with Mr. Noel Valenti, Senior Vice President of Unified Construction Group. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
I wanted to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
First and foremost, if you could share some of your company background and some of your project specialization.
We're a general contractor, commercial general contractor. We started about 12 years ago. My business partner and I both took a leap of faith in 2008 when the economy was kind of in its worst condition with the housing crisis, and we left our employers at the time and we started Unified. Very little capital in our pockets and our tool belts on. We were pretty much covering all bases on our own. Superintendent, accountant, project manager, so on. Here we are 12 years later, and we've grown quite a bit and weathered the storm. In regard to some of our specialties, we consider ourselves a very diverse general contractor. We don't specifically specialize in one particular facet of work because both my business partner and myself and some of our other associates, we all came from building high rises, specifically multi-residential when the boom was going on. And that's where we cut our teeth. And when we left there and started Unified, we started in the retail, anywhere from retail stores to grocery stores, and we started super regional malls, repurposing of super regional malls. Went from Chicago to New York to California to Utah, Mississippi, and we've been busy all over the country for the last 6 years, and now we're back home with our feet on the ground and a lot more experience. We also do a lot of work within the industrial sector. We do refrigerated warehouse, we do warehouses themselves, and a lot of food processing plants. The food processing plant portion of our sector of work is very special to me. We really like that. We have a few clients that we perform the infrastructure work, and we also help them install their processing lines. We have millwrights that work for us, and we work from the beginning of the concept to design phase to budgeting, all the way through the completion of the construction and the startup of the processing lines. So that's kind of one of my favorite, has become one of my favorite sectors, is the food processing portion.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So tell me about your relationship with the Blue Book. How have you partnered with us, or tell us a little bit about that relationship and how it helps you find qualified subcontractors and potential suppliers?
Well, I've been with you guys for a long time.
Yeah, you sure have.
I bring out this old jalopy here. This is the last book, the last hard copy that was ever issued back in 2016.
So cool.
And it was actually signed by our rep back then, which is funny, and we keep them archived. And we were obviously advertising at that time. I mean, the Blue Book, in my opinion, it's a staple of construction. It's a necessity, like a hard hat.
Yes,
you gotta have
indeed.
They just go hand in hand. We use the Blue Book on a daily basis for not only subcontractor lead generation, but also we use the One Team for, issuing invitations to bid and so on. It's very helpful to us because we're always looking for new partnerships with subcontractors, and we've got a very extensive list of subcontractors that we work with, that we have relationships with. Finding new ones or ones that are in different areas have been real helpful for us. And you've been real helpful with helping us procure some of them as well. Thank you.
It's a privilege.
Yeah,
so that leads me to my next question. So tell me about your pre-qualification process, or if you have any sort of specific onboarding process that you'd like to share.
Pre-qualification, it's funny that you bring that up. I mean, in the industry, it's a very common thing to pre-qualify. You want the best of the best. You don't want to hire somebody that's not going to be able to perform. or underperform the job. In regard to pre-qualification, I feel that my business partner and I have come up with a method that is foolproof. Because we used to have to go from here to a city where we know nobody, we don't know anybody, and we would sit for days on end with meeting after meeting after meeting with subcontractors, and we kind of came up with a way that face-to-face interaction works best.
Yes, it does.
But in regard to our pre-qualification, if we're looking to bring somebody on new and add them to our bid list for future jobs, we obviously refer to the Blue Book and touch base with them. We will obviously look at the length of time that they've been in business. We'll look at their previous job history.
Okay.
How those jobs went for them. We'll get some referrals from some of their past customers. Referrals from other subcontractors about those subcontractors are always helpful. We'll ask them what their labor force is like. We'll ask them what their workload is like.
Okay.
In some cases, we might ask for some financials, depending on the size of the job. But once we create that relationship with them, and then they become an associate of Unified Construction Group, in our opinion, it's all up to them to keep that relationship. It's ours as well to keep that relationship, but getting the job done, providing the appropriate labor to do it, and then supervision is key. Part of the pre-qualification has a lot to do with safety. Do you have the appropriate staff to provide your employees with safe measures? I mean, we have somebody on each job that's a safety supervisor, but a lot of times we want that from the subcontractor as well.
Okay.
So there's quite a few things that go into the pre-qualification process.
Sure.
Before we just let you randomly get a job on us.
Right. Okay, so a bit of a scenario question. So let's say there's two subs, they come in at the same price. What criteria would you use to choose one over the other?
Everybody in this industry would probably say the same thing. You would first choose the person that you've worked with multiple times
Certainly.
before.
Mm-hmm.
But you would have to make sure that the scopes are apples to apples, that they're both providing the same scope of work for the price that they're saying they can do it for. And then again, we would say, what's your workload right now? What is your manpower availability? Can you meet the schedule that we have for this particular job? And then we would make a decision at that point in time. But honestly, I think there's some seniority involved there, and then you weigh all the factors in, and that's how I would make my choice.
All right, sounds fair enough. So another question that always comes up is payment schedule. Can you share anything about that, with how you guys, pay your subs?
Pay application process. We normally try to set it up on the 20th of every month, where they'll submit their pay applications for draw. We review them, obviously, and then submit our pay application to our customer. We try to get the subs paid within a reasonable amount of time, 30 or 45 days, depending on what the contract language is. I've never not paid a sub.
That's good to know.
Fairly simple. Submit your pay application, goes in for review, and you get a check upon partial or final lien waivers.
Got it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right.
So how does the future look for Unified Construction?
We're seeing a lot of growth right now. I mean, we're got some decent backlog. COVID has not helped by any means. For the future, we foresee it being a little bit slow through the end of this last quarter and then into the beginning of next year. We're sensing that.
Okay.
And I think the industry in a whole might be sensing that. I think it's going to pick up after the elections.
Absolutely.
After COVID gets under control, I think it's going to pick up. For Unified, we have our backlog in place. Some of our jobs did get pushed out, some of them did get canceled, but we're in a good position, and we are evaluating what the current economy is going to do to the future in construction, and I think we've kind of pinpointed some areas where we see that retail is going to need some assistance when it comes to construction, repurposing of spaces and stuff like that. So we know where our focuses need to be right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I have for you today. I encourage everyone to please stay tuned and check your mailboxes and your digital mailboxes for the Fall 2020 Buyer's Guide, where Unified Construction Group will be our featured GC editorial story. Noel, thank you so much for your time
Thank
today.
you.
We appreciate being a partner in business. It's
Thank
a
you.
privilege to work with you.